I only have experience in private schools. I can't speak for the public school system in the United States.
Mm.
But in my classroom, what we would try to emphasize was to speak to them in Spanish when they walked in the door.
Right.
You know, you just say, hola, 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 ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? Yo me llamo, and eventually we would get to the point where I told you about that class I taught at the college
Mm.
level. I used to make my students laugh because the head of the school, the principal of the school would come in to observe me and would not know any Spanish at all. And so I would walk into the classroom and I always told the kids, okay, the mi jefe is coming to visit the class. So, behave yourselves. And then I'd go right into Spanish and I would say things to them in Spanish about the person visiting the class. Like,
Mm.
boy, is she tall. You think she's okay? She doesn't bump her head when she goes under, whatever, silly things like that. And they would just die laughing because the person sitting there understood nothing but could see the kids were engaged and
Mhm.
laughing and understanding because we started speaking to them as soon as they walked into that very first Spanish class. The school I taught in recruits kids from abroad, so we had a lot of Chinese kids, and so by the time they got into my college level class, they were now on their third language. Mandarin was first, then English, and then Spanish. And I
Right.
could
Right. Yep.
just say anything to them in Spanish and they'd understand it. There's also a national exam for the kids who are in those advanced placement classes. They take a national exam and they're scored between a 1 and a 5. If you pass, you have to have at least a 3, and that way you can get college credit if you pass. And my kids always did fairly well, between 4 and 5, and that just always made me feel so great because they had learned in the class because we only spoke in Spanish.